Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome back to another video, another story. I'm your host on this channel, Johan, and the channel is called Hardcore Spirituality. Hardcore. We have to work at it, put in the work, to not just improve ourselves, but to improve our quality of life. How's your heart today? Is your heart kind? How's your mind? Is your mind calm and clear? The topic of this video is about taking responsibility. Let's break it down. When I ask the question, how is your heart today? Is your heart kind? What's your answer? And if your heart isn't kind, why isn't it kind? When I ask the question, how is your mind today? Is your mind calm and clear? If it's not calm and clear, why? What's going on? What's happening? What's the buzz? I have 500 videos, and in quite a few of them I talk about and compare how we live today as opposed to our ancestors thousands of years ago. The reason I do that is to put it into proper perspective. And explain in detail here's what changed, and this is why there's a lot of issues today, a lot of problems, why people can't get along. So thousands of years ago, now my ancestors came from Denmark, they were Vikings, and they went to England around 1000 AD. So they lived in villages. A lot of our ancestors lived in villages. They were in clans, tribes, this type of thing. The difference now, when you compare it to then, is they were pretty self-sustaining, off-grid, so to speak. In place in those societies were overseers, lords, chieftains. They made decisions for the clan, tribe, group, the village. Everybody had a job to do. They grew food. They hunted for food. They made clothing. They built huts, homes, longhouses. They had animals. Animals had to be cared for. All these things. And all these things, everyone pitched in to help, and that sustained that particular village. A chieftain or earl, speaking of Viking life, was like a governmental leader. to settle disputes, make decisions. The harvest has to be brought in, or now it's time to plant. Maybe we need more goats, we need more sheep, things like this. And I mention this because disputes between people have always existed, and it's a little bit worse today. So why isn't your heart kind? Why isn't your mind calm and clear? Well, it seems to me to be we're all always clashing with a person, place, or thing. There's a lot of clashes. We have expectations. Things don't go as we expected. Clash, issue, situation. There's all these laws, rules, regulations, not just in the home. Local laws, rules, regulations, state laws, rules, regulations, federal laws, rules, and regulations. And the way the system is today, unless you can live off-grid and not interact with the world, people interact with the world every day. Common sense, if you want something today, a home, a car, clothing, food, you have to have a job. Unlike our ancestors who had everything in one village, we're working today for someone else to receive money, to buy what we want, and we pay taxes. It's a lot more complicated than it was for our ancestors. So what does this have to do with taking responsibility? The title of this video. My spiritual journey started in 1988 when I was introduced to the 12 steps through the AA program. The 12 steps are described in the book 12 and 12 in the foreword. The spiritual principles, the principles in the program were borrowed mainly from religions and medical societies. And back then in 1935, everything was a religion. Catholics, Protestants, Bible preaching, Buddhism, everything was called a religion. It wasn't called a spiritual path in the mainstream. So there's a lot of what I call spiritual gems in the two books of Alcoholics Anonymous, the big book and the 12 and 12. And those are principles borrowed from religions and spiritual paths. I learned as I went through the steps, as honest and thorough as I could, that life isn't always fair and people aren't always kind. We have clashes. Then as I spread out and started reading about various philosophies, religious and spiritual, I learned a lot of the clashes we have are because not everybody is able to say, I have this belief, you have that belief. It's okay. I'm not going to judge you, in other words. Although, in many areas of life, people that don't agree with us still try to force their beliefs on you or me. clashes. I learned I can't control the world. I learned I can't control other people. And I also learned something that's important. I can control how I act and react to life's situations. Taking responsibility means to me today I need to be an observer. Not just to observe other people, but to observe myself. Taking responsibility means today, if I get in an argument with somebody else, and this goes back to the 10th step in that 12 and 12 program, if I've had a disagreement, a clash with somebody, it says in that book, the 12 and 12, when we are disturbed, there's something wrong with me. No matter what the cause. So taking responsibility means, to me today, when there are situations like that, clashes, I need to step back, sit in silence, and examine it. Was that person being rational? Was I being rational? How do I know if they weren't just having a bad day? Oh, I get it. Because of their beliefs and my beliefs, we misunderstood each other. Things like this. And I learned from that program to examine, self-examination, and if I owe someone an amends, it doesn't matter what they did to me, but through self-examination and meditation, if I come to a conclusion that I was wrong the way I acted or reacted, I owe that person an amends, an apology. Then what I do is, what I learn, after the apology is made, I go somewhere again and sit in silence, review the situation again, and ask myself, could I have done something different? The dogs are out. Who let the dogs out? I remember when I first got sober, I was one of those people like, I got to get everybody sober now, right? Convert them to recovery. And that didn't work well. And the same thing is from my religious experiences before I started following the Buddhist philosophy. That's trying to convert all these people. I was a Sunday school teacher for the Salvation Army. I was a lay minister. I used to preach in prisons. I've studied the Bible. I've read the Bible front to back 5 times. And I studied the New Testament especially, and especially the translations from Greek, Aramaic, Hebrew into English. And why I adhere to Buddhist philosophies is, you could say the main theme in Buddhism is we are responsible for our own behavior. No one is going to save us. We need to take responsibility for our behavior, how we act, how we react, or what the 12-step program calls character defects, shortcomings. I've often said, man, I wish I could find a lot on the side of a hill and just move away and get away from it all. The world, right? Oh, and as a disabled veteran, I want a mobile home because everything's on one floor. I don't have the money to make that possible, so I need to learn how to function in the world. Every morning when I get up, I go to the bathroom, grab a coffee, and go sit on my deck for 5 to 10 minutes. In silence. That's my sacred spot. The Bible says go in your closet and pray. I go on my deck. I'm calming my mind down now. I'm not jumping into the day running. After a period of time, my thoughts slow down. See this creek behind me? Thoughts flow like the creek. If you've ever walked a creek, at some point there's like a pond, still water. Water flows into that still water, water flows out. So when my mind calms down, I collect my thoughts and I ask myself 4 questions. What do I need to do today? What should I do today? What do I have to do today? What's most important? What do I need to do today? What do I have to do today? What should I do today? What's most important? On the one hand, you could say I'm asking myself those questions. On the other hand, someone might say it's like a petition to God, the higher power, the universe, okay? I'm making that connection every morning. And I don't just do it in the morning. I'm not closed off from the world because I need to interact with the world. I'm not self-sustainable. I gotta go to the store, I gotta buy gas, pay the mortgage, all these things, right? But in the morning when I meditate, I'm preparing myself to walk through the world. And I could, in a way, prepare for various scenarios, but you can't always prepare for everything. Things come up that you didn't plan for, okay? So when something comes up that I didn't plan for, what's the most common human tendency when there's a squabble between 2 people? Well, the common tendency is to blame the other person. Well, if they just didn't say this or they just did this, I wouldn't have done that. They don't believe what I believe. Well, that figures. That's them. They don't believe what I believe. No wonder they act that way. So it's important to me to take responsibility for how I act. I'm well aware of character defects and shortcomings I have. And a lot of them are habits I've developed over the years. Habits of overreacting, habits of blaming people in certain situations. Things like this. It's become a habit that when there's a difference of opinion, my initial response used to be, blame them, overreact, I didn't do anything wrong, you know, I'm righteous, okay? But that has transcended into something else now. Transcendence. The result of taking responsibility for our own actions, applying spiritual principles to our lives, that improve our quality of life, to be non-judgmental, to be tolerant, and I'm not saying be tolerant of people who are abusive to you. All this, applying spiritual principles to my life to improve my quality of life, to go into situations with non-judgment, to be tolerant, I transcend. Transcendence means to exist and experience above the normal level. So now I exist and experience above the level I used to. I don't always overreact. I don't always condemn other people. I don't always blame people. As a matter of fact, I rarely overreact today. I don't blame other people, definitely. I don't condemn other people either, because there are people now who once were like me. They have character defects, they have shortcomings, they may even be sick in the mind. They could be having a bad day. They could have bad habits. And because I pray and meditate and self-examine first thing in the morning, then throughout the day, I've transcended in this manner. I exist and experience above the physical level. So, when something unexpected happens, or something that I didn't plan for happens, I don't get upset in my mind, because that leads to the whole body getting upset. You ever get angry? It's like your whole body's angry. Urgh! In the big book of AA, it says, we need to consider that other people like us, like how we used to be, are spiritually sick. And lastly, and I'll close with this, when we examine ourselves through those 12 steps, it's evident that on a lot of occasions, we put ourselves in a position to be hurt, frustrated, disappointed, or annoyed by decisions we made. Not making careful decisions, and being compulsive and making a decision on impulse. Oh man, I don't have money to pay my bills. Well, did you really need to buy $300 worth of parts for your Harley, or, you know, $200 worth of clothes that you really didn't need? These types of things. Or I went into a situation with someone, and I'm well aware that they're the argumentative type, and I wasn't going to interact with them anyway, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it today. I'll show them. We put ourselves in positions to be hurt. Bad decisions, impulsiveness, compulsiveness, not thinking things through. That's why I ask myself those 4 questions in the morning. I prepare myself for the day. Make it an amazing day. Make it. It's your choice. It's your decision what kind of day you're going to have. And not just that, make it an amazing life. It's your choice, it's your decision what kind of life you're going to have. So why not have a good one? I'll see you in the next video, hopefully. Johan out. Peace.